Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the EdgeVerse Techcast, your go-to spot for all things NXP software, tools, and enablement.
That's right, Bridgette. Today is a great opportunity. I'm actually in the Bay Area, my hometown. I was invited to come out to be part of a global workshop. The topic is our SDK. The MCUXpresso SDK leadership team is all here in San Jose.
Well, I'm very jealous that I didn't get an invite, Kyle. I'm just kidding.
All right, well, beside me, I have Petr Lukas and Jerry Zeng. Why don't we just follow up where Bridgette and I left off with Jimmy. Jimmy Chen was with us almost a year ago, Bridgette, and a lot of activity since then at the SDK. So Petr, Jerry, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for having us here. My name is Petr Lukas. I am coming from Czech Republic, leading middleware and NPI teams. It's my first time here in Bay Area. It's great to meet our global team. Also, I have to say it's nice to experience Californian weather. After the contrast from Czech Republic, there was freezing weather there.
Yeah, it's been very, very nice weather.
Yeah, so thanks for having me, Kyle and Bridgette. It's wonderful to be here in Bay Area. I'm Jerry Zeng, based in Shanghai, China. I've been with this company for around 23 years. So it's great to get together with Petr and Kyle. It's been about 2 years, right, since we met in Beijing.
That's right.
Back in December 2023. The meeting really sparked a lot of the SDK improvements we are excited to see today.
It sure did. That was a great meeting, Bridgette. And you weren't at that one either, so I think you're really starting to miss out on all these fun SDK meetings.
I'm definitely having some FOMO, and I'm glad you all are enjoying the California weather. So Petr, Jerry, it's so great to have you on, and we always love to start with an easy question for the listeners. We talked about you guys being the SDK leadership team. Can you share a little bit more into the details of what you do at NXP?
Yeah, definitely. My team focuses on MCUXpresso and Zephyr middleware. And if we talk about the middleware, those are basically the stacks, RTOS, multi-core, audio, video, file system, networking, you name it, everything which is above our driver layers. Basically, what we are providing is standardized experience across our MCU portfolio. Our goal is to keep up with the latest upstream development and also provide optimized experience for our NXP silicon.
Petr, your team is extremely busy. We meet every week to talk about all the middleware that you're working on, but it wouldn't be complete if we didn't have Jerry. Jerry, what's your team's piece of the pie?
Okay, so I manage the China team, and the China team mainly work on MCU driver development and the NPI software enablement. Our focus is to make sure our customers have reliable, high-quality software from day one when they got the SoC from NXP. In my opinion, Java and the NPI software are the first software that our customers need when they start with our new SoC. They must have available and reliable from day one. So the MCU software team in China mainly focus on those critical pieces. We develop and maintain the peripheral drivers that allow customers to access all the hardware features of our MCU. We ensure that every new product introduced has complete software support ready when the silicon ships.
It's really a partnership. You develop the drivers and the peripherals, and then Petr, your team is basically working every day to toggle the right peripheral and run the right stack on top of the software to make sure the customers are getting their applications up and running. Perfect. All right. You both mentioned the word NPI. Both of you have responsibilities for the NPI team. Why don't we ask both of you, you started to talk a little bit about Jerry. What exactly is NPI for your team, Petr?
NPI stands for New Product Introduction. From my perspective, it's really bringing the chip to the life. We are both the first customers and also the team which actually prepare software for customers so they can develop their application from day one. Yeah. We work in close cooperation with hardware teams, starting really from register layers to create register for the chips, then all the debugging enablement files and so on. This is basically the area we are focusing on.
So a lot of what you're working on is the software that the customers rely on. They don't necessarily manipulate it. This is the initialization, or like you said, the register settings that are required to just have the board boot up and get to the point where the application software of the customer can run.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
This, and also optimize the solution, take the generic tools and optimize it for our silicon.
Okay.
Yeah, similarly, on my side, we have different NPI software teams organized by our product family. For example, we have dedicated teams to handle MCX A series, Atomix RT, ESC, and Atomix M core products. Each team focuses on SoC and board level enablement, right? Make sure all peripherals work correctly, performance is optimized, and power consumption meets the specification. So that's what we have for the NPI support.
Excellent.
Well, Jerry and Peter, thank you both for laying a wonderful foundation of who you are, what your teams do. I want to pivot and go in a little bit of more detail. I know we talked to Jimmy a year ago, but in your opinion, what's been the biggest improvement in the last 12 months that you can share with our listeners about our SDK?
Yeah. Basically, we are building up on the original story, releasing the software through the GitHub. Customers see the same stuff as we see internally. What we focus on is how to deliver more focused package to the customers. Yeah, basically packaging and distribution. What we have introduced is something we call a Repo Zip. It is basically condensed SDK to provide customers software just for the MCU family they need, for the board they need, and for the content which is associated with that family. So they don't need to download gigabyte data, but just the focus content. What is important, it still works in the same ecosystem as the Git. We are still using the VEST tools. Also, there are Git data associated with that package. So if the people want history, full Git history, they still can they get to the software faster in the smaller focus package.
Thanks, Bridgette. I'm glad that you still remember the conversation with Jimmy 1 year ago. He has done fantastic work. Let me share some other key improvements we achieved over the past year. First, we have dramatically reduced NPI release overhead. So we went from around 50 releases per year down to a much simpler model. We have 4 major releases and 8 previews per year, all coming from main chunk. So it's much more efficient. Our team spends less time on release process and more time on actual development for quality improvement and customer requirements. As a result, in the past year, we delivered over 40 new drivers and support 16 new boards.
That's a lot. That's really impressive.
Yeah. Second, we matured both freestanding and standalone project creation along with our VEST extensions based on real customer workflow. These are designed for customers who want to treat the SDK as a base while keeping their own customized code separate. With freestanding projects, for example, application code and custom board files live in the customer's workspace. This makes SDK updates much simpler because you can simply upgrade without touching or break the common SDK repositories. And then we have completely reframed our documentation. We moved from package-isolated PDF documents to Sphinx-based online documentation, providing a searchable web-based experience. At the same time, we still offer downloadable PDFs per board. We also restructured the content to clearly separate overview, getting started, release notes, middleware, and API user guide. We introduced a custom cleaner layout and more consistent navigation. Finally, one thing I really want to highlight is our CI/CD system. Unlike host PC testing, Embedded testing involves real hardware, physical signals, complex wiring, and long-running stability testing. As we moved to chunk-based development, CI/CD becomes essential. Fortunately, our test team has built a powerful and stable CI system. This system runs at least 8,000 test cases every workday and 60,000 cases weekly to cover all boards, tool chains, and different build targets. That's massive coverage. We simply would not be able to provide high-quality software releases without such a CI/CD system. It catches regulations earlier, ensures compatibility across platforms, and gives us confidence in every release.
That's some pretty impressive accomplishments over the last year that your teams have done. But the reason we're in the Bay Area is to analyze and plan for next year. From our conversations today and just from plans that you've developed with your teams, what are you most excited for with MCUXpresso SDK in the coming year? Why don't we go with Jerry first this time?
Okay. So I'm excited about a few things. First, we are adding more rules for code static analysis. We have already made great progress on code quality, but we are not stopping here. We are expanding our static analysis rule sets to catch more potential issues earlier in development. This proactive approach means fewer bugs reach customers.
Yeah, the ability for us to communicate to our customers the quality and give statements that we've already done, the testing that you talked about earlier, is really helpful for them to get a clear picture of what they're working with.
Yeah.
All right, well, I've heard about the efforts you're making in connectivity. Can you share maybe some exciting plans there?
Yeah, we will introduce a new BT-BLE stack named EdgeVerse Open. We would like to leverage the high-quality BT-BLE stack from the Zephyr project so that our MCUXpresso SDK customers can benefit from it.
Zephyr. Bridgette, have you heard the name Zephyr before?
Maybe once or twice.
Maybe.
Just kidding. We're celebrating their 10-year birthday this year.
That's right, with 10,000 boards. More on that later. So we have lots of activity and lots of discussions about Zephyr. Can you go a little bit more into what you're doing with the MCU teams for Zephyr?
Yeah. I'm really excited about our Zephyr strategy. Zephyr is one of the most active MCU communities, and keeping NXP support up to date is critical. Since we are now leveraging the same SDK low-level driver and SoC support code for Zephyr enablement, we will be able to add NXP NPI support in Zephyr much faster. This unified approach also means less duplication of effort and consistency across our software offerings.
Yeah, so we're spending time on Zephyr so that we can align our new product introductions with the Zephyr releases. We know the customers are asking for more features, more enablement when we initially launch the part. That was great, Jerry. Peter, why don't you jump in? What are a couple things about the SDK in the next year that you're excited about?
Yeah, Kyle, there are many things I could talk about, but I will just pick two. One in area of software distribution and quality. Yeah, so this year in the next release, we are introducing the first MCUXpresso LTS long-term support release. So our goal really is address the security requirement from CRA, Cyber Resilient Act, and also provide the stable base for our customers to get the latest security, vulnerability bug fixes, or overall quality package basically based on customer reported issues.
That will be very excellent and much anticipated.
Yeah, LTS will be supported for 2 years. And in next 2 years, they will get next LTS and customers can choose what they will use as a base for their products.
Okay. What about as far as technology? Anything that your team on the middleware front is going to be focused on releasing?
Yeah, if I should pick just one, I would mention Multimedia Framework. That's something we feel is missing on MCU embedded software field. Basically, this is the pipeline, conceptually similar to GStreamer you would find on Linux. It enables people in creation of the pipeline where you would go from audio video capture from camera, then decode or encode and playback and combine these components together. These components will be available for both Zephyr and FreeRTOS. In Zephyr, we work with the community. The pull requests are already under review, so we are close to upstreaming that stuff. And on FreeRTOS, we want to provide the similar experience.
Well, we have excellent audio and voice history. So the work your team does is recognized in the industry. So for you to update it and provide new access is going to be great for the customers. All right, I want to ask this question, and we'll start with you, Jerry. With the MCUXpresso SDK, we just had another successful release like you talked about. Very smooth process. Can you highlight a few things that were in the latest 2603 SDK release?
Absolutely. This latest release includes some exciting new platform support. We just add MCX A266 and MCX A366 Freedom Board support. These are our latest mainstream Cortex-M MCU development board. If you are evaluating the MCX-A family for your next project, these boards are a great starting point. We also added Atomix 9.5 Freedom Board support. For those interested in our high-performance application processors with integrated MCU capabilities, this is the platform to check out. Both boards are fully supported in this release with complete driver packages, example projects, and documents. If you are interested in those platforms, simply download our latest version and check it out.
All right, well, we'll put some of those links directly in the episode notes so the listeners can click on there and see some of those boards that Jerry just mentioned. All right, back to you, Peter. What's the exciting things that your team added to the recent SDK release?
In this recent SDK, you would find the broad middleware refresh, standard thing we do always update to the latest versions. For example, FATFS was updated. The big focus was on security. I'm talking about the Embed TLS library. Currently, there are 3 versions on the market. There is Embed TLS 2, 3, and 4. Embed TLS 2, we are discontinuing support with this release. We are focusing fully on Embed TLS 3.0, which is our current main offering. Also, we are already introducing Embed TLS 4.0.
So the 2.0, that's being deprecated across the market, right? We're keeping up and above what the market's doing. This is something that customers are demanding to be based on Embed TLS 3. Your team's doing the work to make sure we're using the latest approved Embed TLS.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. What about NPI highlights like Jerry mentioned?
From NPI front, I would mention in MCX-A family, we are introducing the chip later this year, which have 10-base T1S capability, which is single pair 2-wire Ethernet. It's a technology which is now very popular and demanded in industrial space. We have for that peripheral, the driver already upstream to the Zephyr system. Also, it's available as a preview in MCUXpresso SDK. And the final version will come later this year.
Well, it's been a long week in San Jose, but I appreciate the two of you taking time to share with Bridgette and I all the good work your team's doing and what we're focused on to deliver to all our listeners in the coming year. So just to highlight a couple things, Bridgette, and then we can wrap up. You guys talked about the delivery of a smaller SDK package, which was really great. You talked about the process. Every quarter, we're delivering new previews and releases. It's a process that's well organized by our teams. The amount of testing, the test coverage, every day, every week to provide the quality. Peter, you mentioned coming forward, we're going to offer that long-term support release. That's a huge offering that NXP is going to provide in the coming months. So make sure, listeners, that you keep your eyes open for that. Then, Jerry, you talked about some of the new MCX-A enablement.
Right.
The Freedom boards are exciting. A lot of great information that you guys shared. It's been a great episode, Bridgette.
Yeah, thanks for the wrap up, Kyle. Jerry and Peter, thank you so much for taking time from the workshop to join us. And of course, my co-host Kyle, thank you for making time for me as well and for our listeners. And appreciate you giving us the rundown on what's been happening with the SDK.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
To our listeners, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
And everyone, keep designing, keep working hard. Make sure you evaluate this impressive new MCUXpresso SDK, and we'll catch all of you on the next EdgeVerse Techcast.